has it been completed? And if yes, what was the outcome?
Well, just to say no, a review is still on the way and it relates to the issue we noted when I became a minister, that surprisingly, that persons were being given 90-day remissions for work done in the prison system. And that meant that persons, that if you got remissions 4 times a year, that's virtually a year would have been somehow taken off of your sentence, beyond issues in relation to what happened with CCG. When I became minister, I said that it could not be more than 48 days, and that we had to review, more than 28, sorry, could not be more than 20, and that we'll have to review it as we went along. The impact of a decision or the way it was made at the CCJ, and the origin of what the 90 days which were running before I became a minister became, well, was the result in terms of that early release. So that was fixed, a review is on the way between ourselves and the Attorney General's chambers, and the matter will be concluded. And in any event, the question of the timing and the amount of remission which will be granted is already changed by when I became a minister. As I said, that was running originally, created the problem at the time that we started. So that review is on the way here with the system and with the Attorney Generals. And when we explain what is the final position in relation to that.
Secondly, Minister, there has been a significant increase in wildfires across the country. The President recently expressed that he's not satisfied with the output from the Guyana service in light of all of the investments that are being made in acquiring assets, etc. Could you say how this concern is being addressed?
Well, I would say there is an issue, of course, with the range and experience from engagement on outreaches. In terms of the investment in the new assets, the questions of training, I think some people are going to from Finland with the local company in relation to training with the new Skylift system and some other assets that we have. Actually, to some extent, there's also a lot between making an investment and going up the speed in terms of efficient operation. But I have to say, in spite of those issues, that there are issues which seem simplistic, but which have a great deal of disregard and witness to some extent in what happens. You start a grass fire or garbage fire somewhere, nobody attends it, and then it spreads to a bond that's happened recently in the cities. Then a large number of fires are maliciously set. A large number of fires are maliciously set. I have a document here of our achievements for last year, which we will share with you, soft copy. Right? Give you the whole book. And you can discern it for yourself. I don't want to be sitting here and saying it, and then maybe people will say, well, I'm not sure what you can say. We'll give you the whole book. Soft copy. And this comes out and so you can draw your own conclusion from those statistics. And I said, They're setting up schools. They seem to be a particular situation and the schools which was related to trafficking, that the Kanu came and did something, and somebody thinks that somebody else passed information or whatever and so on. And I think one shack and one house was destroyed. And then beyond issues of the electricity reticulation, which I spoke of, question of being sufficiently aware and being on board. Yes, we anticipated that we have seen a dramatic improvement in terms of a reduction, but it could not and perhaps did not occur against the question of the malicious setting of fires and the careless use of fires and overloading electrical circuits and so on. People want to have new things, washing machines, what they call this thing, waves up and microwaves, computers and all kinds of things left on. There's a question which we noticed where the Guyana National Bureau of Standards sees a large number of electrical appliances and wiring which did not meet the standards, substandard. So you might have or to have 3-4 wiring and it only has 2. Or it might not be the right thickness or the right quality. And so many of the electrical issues are in the
Finally, for me, in relation to the Guyana Defense Force helicopter crash, as the Minister of Affairs, did you receive a progress report on how the investigation is progressing from GCCI, the police, and the black box was sent to Washington, I believe, as part of that investigation? Could you say if there is that deadline in which that is expected to be returned here in Guyana?
No, I am awaiting as a member of the Defense Board, apart from the size and duration of the progress of the investigation. I'm aware that the black box has been sent out. And so on, but that is a particularly specific and thorough investigation which has to be done. So we await those.
Minister, can you say if the ministry has any plans or the state to have a gun amnesty for this year? And this is to address the issue of the presence of unlicensed guns and ammunition in the hands of persons living in this country. Can you also say if the ministry plans to go to Parliament or take any bill to Parliament to review the penalties for gun-related crimes in this country and offenses, crimes and offenses, and
If you,
and could you also say if any major bills will be tabled by the ministry, that is to you of course, to address the issue of road traffic offenses and crimes committed, especially by repeat offenders? Is that not one?
I did say that we were looking at the question, using the penalties in relation to road traffic, the fines. Question may be out if you are a repeat offender as to how we treated that. That has to evolve all the discussions by ourselves and the AG's chambers in relation to gun crimes, having of illegal guns, reviewing any amnesty. Those who have guns and shouldn't have them should perhaps walk into the nearest police station and pick them up or put them somewhere where they could be. Not supposed to have any illegal gun. If you look at what has been happening in Jamaica and some of Bahamas and some some other places. Question of having an illegal gun, those instances has nothing to do with being somebody in the bush and wanting to shoot white hogs or whatever, and to eat the food. It has to do with criminal activity. Has to do with criminal activity. You have an illegal gun, pass by the police station, put it in the bag and throw it in the yard. And then we might be drinking anyway. But don't have it. We're thoroughly against it. If you look at what, I don't want to mention specific churches, if you look at what happened to women and children and all kinds of people, it has to do with drug activity. It has to do with organized crime. It has to do with protecting yourself against like-minded persons like yourself who are in criminal activity. Thoroughly against it. You don't want to have a society in which people got guns out. And in too many instances, some of our people, even if they get a license, don't want to go in the beer garden or someplace and wave it around and show that they got one. Some of them, I don't know how they get it before I got there. And we're going to review those to see what should be done in relation to some people who we know are doing nonsense. NODC and others. There is funding being given by the Canadians and the Germans and others in respect of the reduction in gun crimes and the possession of drugs and in relation to the legislation related to those things. I believe that somebody saw with an illegal gun and you are known as, there should be no remand given. I don't know how people get remand for having a firearm or $1,000 or some nonsense. I don't understand it.
You mean remand or you mean the shopping given bail? That's one clarity.
They shouldn't be given bail. They shouldn't be given bail.
But Minister, and that is why I asked the question, because there are things that we want to do, but then there is what the law states. And
I know
issue.
why you're asking me
That the issue of the repeat offenders, because we often hear the conversation of the judiciary not cooperating with the police or vice versa, but then when a matter goes before a magistrate or a judge, they can only work with what is before them and what they are, remember the statutes of the Constitution, so they can only act based on what the law, how the law guides them to act. And that is why I'm asking if we can see anything coming from your ministry to Parliament to address this issue, to put more power in the hands of whoever to ensure that there's greater penalties and accountabilities for persons found with weapons.
The discussion and the work is on the way with respect to it. The extent to which it happens now is surprising to some extent for us, but every agency almost is involved in responses to the police, the prison, the fire, the Kanun particularly. Everybody is involved in this issue.
In relation to police constable continuous learning, the police had issued to one bulletin for a couple in the U.S. Can you give us an update whether or not any request was made for the
I
couple
seem to be reading from something. I want to hear clearly what it is you're saying.
In relation to Quincy Lewis, police constable Quincy Lewis, the police had issued to one bulletin. Can you give us an update on whether or not the request was made for the couple to be extradited?
The investigation is not been finished. The investigation
We will answer you more properly next time.
Has implications. But it has implications to the investigation. So that we
They just say that investigations, documentation, relevant is relevant.
Marshall from the source. Minister, you spoke about with respect to gun-related crimes such as robberies. Are you satisfied with the quality of investigation being done by the police? And could you say, for example, 2023, how many of murders committed were solved, respective cases, and the level of prosecution within the courts?
Well, the police doesn't prosecute those matters. But then I did see the error rate. Serious crime is somewhere around 60+%. Most of those of the which are domestic murders, disorderly murders, most of those are. As I said, we give the information. I am fairly satisfied that we get on those, resolving those fairly quickly. Question for us is, going forward now, it's the mitigation, preventing, reflecting, having early interventions, even by way of welfare checks by the police and the NGOs to avoid things escalating to the point where a murder may occur, the disorderly and the domestic murder. There's a situation which the police do complain about, that will be domestic violence issues, but the reporter or the victim doesn't want to continue the matter at the level of the police. And at the court, in terms of the police identifying issues, there is identification, but a full-fledged, comprehensive response to those issues is what we have to work at before things occur, before things escalate. That is what we have to work at. And we have worked with the Ministry of Human Services, Minister of India Kusan, in respect of cop squad. And I think we've got 2,000 police persons who have gone through training with respect to domestic violence issues. They've been trained, they have a little button which we put on them showing that they have been trained. There's a room, there's a trainer team, and there's a room in each new police station where they could be confidentially questioned, documented, also for children who may experience violence in the new police station. We're working on those issues, but they're very concerned because those are the ones which are spiking questions in relation to murders, disorderly murders, domestic violence murders. Just to say that PPE itself is not a new drug, it's a more potent form of marijuana. Its origin seems to be from Venezuela, I think. Yeah. Most of it, the seizures which you have done up to yesterday morning. 472 kilograms of pounds, 473 pounds were seized along with 2 persons on a boat and an engine. Bags which were producing to contain fertilizer. And so those persons are incarcerated and the things that they had are seized. The new drugs relate more to synthetics, ecstasy, and some other things. And one of the challenges of the police and the army relate to drugs which we are bringing from the United States, in Guyana, in Guyana, or whatever. Yeah, or it is come from medicinal purposes. We're worried about, of course, the school system where there's rave-type parties or something where people are using these synthetics. But those are things we're working on.
Follow-up, you also mentioned about the dismantling of drugs within communities. Can you elaborate on this?
Well, just to say that one of the approaches that we've been taken is dismantling in the communities of drugs and identifying who are the operatives, the educational arrangements and so on in respect of these. There are many communities all around and in some mining camps and other areas. And so this is why the police and the county are getting assets to spread out and to do more visits and interfacing in relation to this problem. Because as I said, this problem is structural in communities. Somebody gets addicted, we sell out everything in your mom's house, and the party, get into fights and so on. But the question is the sourcing, the question is who is doing the trafficking, the movement and so on, the logistics of it. We are breaking those up. Big part of this. Yes.
Minister, you said that you take the common board in 2023. Can you say it again? And secondly, is there a change coming to the head of panel? Why? Because is there a change coming to panel's head at the sub-turning exercise the president made in passing about the directorial position? But I'm not sure. So
The director is here. The director is here.
We just need some clarity.
Well,
Anything can happen at any one time.
no, I'm just saying, Mr. Jameson is here and he's the director of that. His organization has expanded tremendously. His footprint and activity has increased. The work of Kano has a lot of engagements with regional and international partners. Beyond which is we've done here in relation to the advice and policy engagement with law enforcement nationally and regionally. And so it's a big task, a big job. And you yourselves report on the fight that we have. We've been successful, I think, and we look forward to much more coming out, both from the police and the army. It's going fairly well, I would say. Well, it's in a fairly advanced stage. It's at the technical levels in terms of setting up. I hope we be by the middle of the year that we'll be in a position to have it in place. But they have to go along in relation to the process and integrating it with the other things that we have happening.
Can you say if the government will bring a bill specifically on the use of facial recognition in crime training?
We will bring facial recognition. As I said before, legislative results which are necessary to have it in place will be there. We realize it is necessary given the challenges we have and the question of some characters who may be here or who may pass through here. We have the question not only of the transnational organized crime, but also sovereignty issues. We have to know. We have to know, but it will be backed up by sound and proper legislative results and protections.
Just a follow-up to one question. This legislation means
Yes. Amendments will be done as necessary.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, media. I believe that brings us to the end of our questions from the media.
Thank you very much.
You